Hey OG, I don't know if this has been asked yet, but how do you guys use toilets? Okay, so what we used to do, we would just go and we'd like lift the lid, and put it up, and then you'd have to make sure there was no clothes in the way, obviously, and you just like, make sure you can see what you're doing and just kind of like, sit down on it like that, and then, you do your thing. I really don't know how to explain how to do that, but once you're done, got to get that TP, or in some cases corn cobs, be what it may. Um, dried grass, whatever you need to use. This is actually a couple days old. This was kind of a wet spot here that I mowed, but this feels really soft. I think I'm gonna save that for later. But yeah, it's pretty simple. So I didn't have a toilet out here, unfortunately, that do a demonstration on. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're outside, like in the woods or something, which I've had to do many a time, or in the corner of a box stall, best find you a tree to lean against, and then just put your strong hand up against that tree, and then hold on to it while you're squatting, and that really helps. So thanks. I hope that helps. Don't you get a rash from the corn cobs? So that is a very good question. Corn cobs are pretty rough. They were not my preferred method at all. I would usually use an old newspaper, old copies of the budget, something like that, or leaves. But there has been a time, a day I remember all too well, when I had to use corn leaves from a corn stalk. The only place I had to go was in the middle of a cornfield, and the only thing out there were corn stalks everywhere. And I remember grabbing these leaves and looking at them and thinking, they kind of almost feel soft, and I ended up using them. I will confirm the leaves from a corn stalk will give you a hella rash. And it took me a couple days to recover from that one. To this day, it's on my list of do not attempt, do not repeat, and I will never use leaves from corn stalks again. I would rather take some dirt from the ground and kind of try to use that. So anyway, corn cobs, I probably wouldn't recommend. The leaves from a corn stalk, definitely do not recommend. God bless you all. And if you're going into a cornfield, take something with you. What was used for toilet paper? Whatever you could get your hands on. Newspapers were one of my favorites. The old paper feed bags were not quite as pleasant, but they would work. I've used those a lot. Tree leaves, maple tree leaves work really great. I do not recommend using corn leaves. I have used those before, and do not recommend. Those will likely result in a rash. Just trust me on that. They have these little hairs that will irritate you. I've used grass. Actually, in our schools, we always had toilet paper because there was only one teacher. And I think it was just more convenient to have toilet paper there. And school fees, paid for it because the Amish have to pay school fees on top of their local school taxes. Public school taxes, I should say. So the boys had their own outhouse and the girls had their own outhouse. And on some of them you had doors, but in most of them it was one of those deals where you walk in, turn the corner, and then nobody can see into the back part. But it keeps it aired out, but it gets cold in the winter. But I remember one time when I was in first grade, I was 6 years old, and this kid named Malin was in there with me, and I needed some toilet paper, and he had used the last of it. And I'm like, go get me some more toilet paper. He was like, just go use some grass. So I, waddled outside with my pants down, I do believe, and grabbed a handful of grass and a couple handfuls, and I was walking back in, and he sees me, he starts laughing and running to the schoolhouse, yelling at the other boys to come look at this little kid who's out here, And I'm like, well, I wasn't going to pull my pants up. I hadn't wiped yet. I didn't know what to do. And I felt very betrayed by Malin because I felt like, he set me up for it, and then he was just laughing at me instead of trying to help me, But, around home, it wouldn't have been a big deal to use grass, because I was almost always outside or by the barn. And, we didn't have a bathroom in the house, so it was just second nature. The outhouse was on the other side of the house from the barn where I lived when I was a kid. And, it was more convenient just to go back in the little woods or stay in the barn or something like that. Now, some people used to use corn cobs back in the day, from what I've heard. I never had to do that, thank goodness. My grandmother made a joke one time about, oh, you have toilet paper in your schools? Like, we always had to use corn cobs. She said there was a pile of red corn cobs and then a pile of white ones. You would use 3 red ones, and then you would use a white one to see if it was clean. So I don't know if that was true or if she just made that up.